The first member of parliament who has already indicated that he wants to respond is actually Honorable Lutfi Sharif Mohammed from Somalia. He's also the rapporteur of the Pan-African Parliament Committee on Agriculture and Rural Economy. So, Honorable, you've listened to those presentations. I think I'm just going to invite you to make any comments on what you've just listened and how you think we can work with the youth going forward. Also, what you think the youth can do to help the Pan-African Parliament as part of today's topic. Honorable, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Jeffrey, for giving me the floor. Good afternoon, everybody, or good evening, according to his or her time. First and foremost, I'm very pleased to be with you today, including the Deputy President of PAP, Excellence Chief Trompira, and my colleagues from PAP, including my friend Abubakar, and all other protocols observed, and the MPs who are in this digital forum. It's a great pleasure for me today to speak with you to this valuable digital forum. I thank you for inviting me to be a part of this important talk and extend my regards to the leadership and the honorable members of Pan-African Parliament, which I'm also a member, as well as all the organizers and the audience, including the young educators and the experts who are in this forum. Let me start by acknowledging the current health crisis that we face as a continent and as a world. As one of the presenters alluded to earlier, the African youth will be deeply impacted by coronavirus 19 or COVID-19. The PAP really has understood the urgency to mitigate the risk for young people, and our role as your representative is to ensure that the government must put measures in place to protect and assist young people, including youth. This is why, since the beginning of this pandemic, the PAP has done a lot of things, including urged all AU member states to coordinate their response to the pandemic. For example, like Somali government put at emergency budget more than 5 million at the first stage to cope with this pandemic disease, which affects all the people in this globe. Also, the PAP called on African governments to increase their health budgets and also convene meetings with the AU institution in charge of the leading continental response to assess the progress in fact. And also, as PAP did really a lot of things, including as we are also urging our governments to ensure that the post-COVID-19 budgets take into account the needs of the young people and how the governments are supposed to protect them. As an early career politician and a member of both Somali Parliament and a member for Pan-African Parliament, I have a great moral mandate to dedicate my time to promote the interest of our young people in our African continent and in respective countries. And it's a fundamental goal for me to push this agenda, which allows our younger generation to have a strong political participation to the African Union level as well as our respective countries. Because we know the youth in the world and also in this continent are the main asset that every country has. To achieve this goal, I have some key issues to raise to you in order to enlighten our meeting audience to have understanding how we can make sure the youth to have a critical role and political participation to African Union level. It's a good start that we have the Pan-African Parliament, which is a continental body, and brings together members from all the African parliaments. But it's not yet enough. Why? Because as we are all aware of, our continent has over 75% of its population are under the age of 30. And in my country, Somalia, over 74% of the population are around the age of 30. In this regard, we have all responsibilities to make sure the young people to have influence in the decision-making, both in the continent level. The PAP has been pushing this agenda to empower the young generation in different levels, and it is still pushing this agenda. But the fact that the parliament has its main mandate as advisory, it can't make legislative decisions that directly affect the lives of the youth in our respective countries. As you know, the Malabo Protocol of 2014, which was adopted by the heads of state of our countries, which envisions the Pan-African Parliament to become the legislative body and improve the legislations that affect the lives of the people of the continent, including the young people and the educators. But yet the protocol has not fully ratified, which means the PAP has only advisory mandate yet until now. The ratification can encourage actions aimed at improving the socio-economic lives of the young people, freedom, and also the citizens of the continent. We, as a member of Pan-African Parliament, don't have until now the requisite 28 signatories of the Malabo Protocol. My guess it's around 11 signatories, which till now have ratified. Up to now, we can't fully fledged parliament, which can produce or make legislation that compel our governments to promote the interests of our young people. This is a need the youth to stimulate the younger generation to act on the need of the member states to ratify the Malabo Protocol, which makes the Pan-African Parliament as a legislative body that can improve your participation of continental affairs and the leadership. The ratification can encourage actions aimed at improving the socio-economic situation of young population, as well as improving the opportunities that create a better life conditions and better representative for all citizens of the continent. If the countries you represent ratify the Malabo Protocol as it is, the Pan-African Parliament would have the mandate to produce legislation that force the member states and the governments to improve the social services, including the justice and also the human rights you have. What I would suggest for young people who are in this forum and also those who are watching on the live to listen me here, the audience, to level up your influence on the parliamentarians in your respective countries, especially those in your constituencies, and convince them to push the agenda for ratification of Malabo Protocol, in which the member states, specifically in which the member state countries. You can launch campaigns on the social media, you can create a cross-country discussion forums, and lobby in a big cities in Africa, encourage youth in all countries to join the campaign and influence the continental leaders to support the Malabo Protocol, which I believe will affect at the end of the game our lives. If the campaign is win, the PAP will produce continental legislators that improve your life conditions and lives of the generation to come, and it would also give the younger generation the opportunity to lead their countries and the continent as well. Having a continental legislative body, which I mean giving PAP a legislative mandate, will create hope for our youth that are dying in the deserts and in the Mediterranean Sea, while trying to mitigate to Europe, where they seek a better life but end up in difficult living conditions. In the Quran, as we are Muslim, we have a verse which says, God will not change those who don't change themselves, which means that God helps those who wanted to make positive change to their communities and countries. Finally, I would request all of you, if the audience to note down today the promise to push the member of your parliament who represents your constituents or community to bring the Malabo Protocol to the table of the parliamentarian and ratify it. If your influence on the member of parliamentarian is that represent you pave the way for the ratification of Malabo Protocol, it will create an opportunity to lead your country. So I'm sure where you can lead the countries, you can lead the continent. When you lead the continent, you can make the change you want to see. That's my call for today in this forum. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you very much, Nro. Thank you very much for that presentation. I think what Nro also done there is, having listened, has also called on the youth to ensure that the Malabo Protocol, the African Parliament Protocol, that the youth gets behind that to ensure that it is ratified by member states, because then it will give the Pan-African Parliament a bigger mandate to act on behalf of the people of Africa, especially the youth of Africa. So you also have been given a challenge as young people here. Thank you very much.